What's going on, Dolphins? It is your boy Dillon, and I know it's late. It's about 2 o'clock in the morning my time, West Coast, which means it's about 5 o'clock in the morning, East Coast time. I am actually here to do my post-game analysis video for the game against the Raiders. Um, I just, I was sitting here tonight and I just said, fuck it, I'm just going to do it. I was just sitting here chilling and I decided I'm just going to do it and just get it out of the way. So before I get into the statistics and all of that good stuff, like I normally do, I just want to say that, um, this game, look, first of all, going into it, I gave this Dolphins team a chance, said that they were going to win. Obviously, they didn't do that. It was, a tough loss that ended up being really close. It ended up, going to overtime. But, if we're keeping it honest and keeping it real with ourselves, most of the game didn't even feel as close as it actually was. And there were definitely a lot of problems in this game. There was bad coaching. These guys are failing to coach these guys up on the sidelines when there's mistakes and things that need to be cleaned up. They're misusing personnel that they're not using, like Jalen Waddle, for example, as effectively as they could be, and a number of guys. The play calling was pretty terrible. I mean, one example obviously was the safety that kind of changed the tide of the entire game. The Dolphins were backed up to their own one yard line, and they decided to call a screen pass, a wide receiver screen. There was no blocking in front of him. Jacoby Brissett started in the end zone. He threw the ball to Waddle, who was in the end zone, and then he got immediately blown up for the safety. That's one example. There was that stupid shovel pass on like 3rd and 4 or 4th and or like 3rd and 3 or 4th and 3, something like that. The shovel pass to Gesicki that failed. There was the when we got down to the 1 yard line after that pass interference penalty, when we scored the touchdown to tie the game, they ran 2 straight on 1st and 2nd down Wildcat plays back to back that were terrible. There was, it was after the field goal that we got in the second half to make it 17 points to put us up to 17. It was like a 3rd and 4, and instead of calling some, play where maybe like either a running play or, even better, a short slant or something out into the flat or whatever, something short that's going to pick up the 4 downs, the 4 yards, and the first down, they just go with, we're going to try and do something that's longer, a longer developing play down the field. So play calling was terrible. There were tons of penalties in this game, including the late hit from Landon Roberts, the helmet to helmet from Javon Holland, among many others. And people want to, real quick, I just want to say that people want to point out the missed pass interference that the refs missed, that would go in the Dolphins' favor in overtime, but they fail to acknowledge the fact that we even got to overtime in the first place because we got a pass interference call in the 4th quarter when we were on the 50-yard line. They took a deep shot to the end zone, right? And we got a pass interference call that ended up, and it was a stupid one because they made good plays on the ball and everything, and Mullen didn't need to do it. So it was a stupid penalty, but we lucked out. It saved our drive. It put us to the 1 yard line. And yeah, they ran 2 Wildcat plays that failed, and it took us 4 downs to actually punch it in, but they managed to and tied the game. But the point is that, people want to just simply point out, and sure, you could have called pass interference on that play and it could have favored the Dolphins. It could have helped them to win the game. But we did just get helped out by a pass interference call right before that. And at the end of the day, you don't really want to be relying on flags to save you anyway, right? And so, it was a really rough day. There was bad offensive line play. The defense had their bad moments. There were drop passes and mistakes all over the place, right? So the Dolphins definitely shot themselves in the foot a lot. And, it was even hard to get excited after the Dolphins took a 14-0 lead because, the first touchdown that we got obviously was a defensive touchdown. It was the pick six to a Landon Roberts. But if we're keeping it real, on that drive, the Raiders were, they were driving. They were about 15 yards away from, scoring. So they were in the red zone. They would have at least been able to kick a field goal and get 3 points. But it was just a mistake by Derek Carr and his receiver way more than it was, a Landon Roberts. Now, he was in the right place at the right time, but the receiver didn't finish running his route, and Carr kind of floated the ball a little bit, and it ended up going right into Landon Roberts' hands, and he waddled his slow ass all the way down 85 yards to get the touchdown. So good on him, but, it kind of was gifted to us. And obviously you can't rely on, defensive scores to save your ass, every game or even in this game, because obviously it didn't. And then, the offensive touchdown that we got shortly thereafter was, also basically because of the defense setting us up with short field after a I believe it was a 4th and 1 play that we stopped them, right? But then after that, it was back to anemic, and another thing about play calling, like every time something works, they seem to just go away from it. Mike Gesicki started heating up, later in the game, and you're like, well, why didn't they go to that sooner? Or, the run game. Our running backs averaged like 5 yards per carry, and yet they refuse to run the ball, right? And, one other quick thing that's pretty maddening. 2 straight games, we've had more yards per carry than we've had yards per pass attempt, which is pretty fucking dreadful. Like we had 5 yards, I think the official stat was 4.9 yards per carry on the day today in this game, but we only had like 3 point something yards per pass play, which is absolutely fucking atrocious. So anyway, it was a tough loss, and it just, so I don't know. I mean, that's honestly that's my main commentary on it. I'm going to get into these statistics, and like I said, at the end of the day, it didn't really feel like we were really even in this game all that much for most of the game. They did manage to hang around, and they did manage to keep it close, push it to OT and everything, but I don't know, man. It's rough, and I'm worried for the rest of the season if I'm keeping it real. So anyway, after this game, let's just get into the hard, raw statistics and all of that stuff now, and I'll have the league standings. I updated my little template here, and I put in the league standings into it, so we're going to get to all of that. And then, a quick drive-by-drive run-through. But, and I think that the statistics and the drive-by-drive, and the league standings, I think all of that does help to illustrate what I was saying. And, just real quick too, up to this point, through the first 3 games, we squeaked away with the win in Foxborough, but, it didn't feel like much of a win. The offense pretty much sucked. The defense saved us, or we could have lost that game. I mean, we were a Xavier Howard forced fumble away from losing that game. If he didn't get that, we probably would have lost that game, and we'd probably be 0-3. So, and then obviously got blown out by the Bills last week, and then, had this heartbreaker of a loss to the Raiders. So, anyway, we'll see how next week goes, though, but let's go ahead and dive into this and get through all these statistics. So obviously the Dolphins lost 31-28. It was in overtime. The Dolphins now dropped to 1-2 on the season. The Raiders are now 3-0 on the season. Total yards, the Dolphins only had 330. They gave up 497 to the Raiders. We only had a $197 in the passing game. They had 357. We had 133 rush yards, which is actually pretty solid. But again, and it's just frustrating that we had solid rushing yards, and when you see the averages for all of the rushing attempts, even Jacoby Brissett, like, it was solid, and I just don't understand why they insist on going away from things that work. But we did give up 140. We were 4.2 yards per play overall, which is okay, but you want to try and at least be over 5. They were 6.1. No team lost a fumble. Oh, wait. I'm sorry. This is inaccurate. It's actually the Raiders threw an interception. Excuse me. So there we go. Obviously, it was the Landon Roberts interception. We were only 33% on third downs, and we let them, convert on a 53% conversion percentage. So not good. Obviously, these time of possession numbers include overtime, but they had the ball for 38-47. We had it for 31-13, and both sides had 8 penalties. Jacoby Brissett was 32 of 49, 65.3% completion percentage, 215 yards, and a 74.8 passer rating. Derek Carr was 26 of 43 for 60.5% completion percentage, 386 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception, and a 95.7 passer rating. Myles Gaskin led the way for us with 13 rushes, 65 yards, and a 5 average. Jacoby Brissett, 7 rushes, 37 yards, a touchdown, and a 5.3 average. Malcolm Brown, 7 rushes, 31 yards, 1 touchdown, and a 4.4 average. Why did they go away from it? I have no idea. I mean, look, to be fair, part of it probably had something to do with the fact that we were playing from behind for at least half of the game, but, whatever, dude. I mean, it doesn't make sense. Why go away from the things that are successful? So anyway, Peyton Barber led the way for them, 23 rushes, 111 yards, 1 touchdown, and a 4.8 average. Kenyon Drake added in 8 for 24 and a 3 average. Mike Gesicki led the way, and anyway, it's frustrating. Mike Gesicki was 10 of 12, 86 yards. Jalen Waddle, 12 of 13 for 58. Devontae Parker, 4 of 7 for 42. Will Fuller, 3 of 6 for 20. And Albert Wilson did not have anything. I forgot to take him out. Excuse me on that. Albert Wilson was actually inactive for this game, so there is that. I forgot to take him off the list. Brian Edwards was 3 of 5 for 89. Henry Ruggs, 4 of 7 for 78. Hunter Renfrow, 5 of 6 for 77 and a touchdown. Darren Waller was 5 of 7 for 54. And, Darren Waller didn't have a spectacular day, but obviously didn't need it with the way that they spread the ball around. And even to running backs, right? Kenyon Drake, 3 of 6, 33. Peyton Barber, 3 of 5, 31. Zay Jones, 1 for 15. Defensively, Christian Wilkins did lead the way for us. I kind of misspelled his name here. But look, and real quick about Christian Wilkins, he did have a good game. He did. He definitely had a good game here. The problem is that it's not anywhere near consistent enough, right? So every now and again, he will, show up in the stat line and have a decent game, but then he just will disappear for a number of games. And then he'll come up again with maybe a sack or something. But, it's frustrating. Anyway, he was 6 solo tackles, 1 assisted tackle with 1 sack and 2 tackles for loss. Jerome Baker had 5 solo, 6 assisted. Let's see, Zach Sealer, 4 solo, 5 assisted, and 1 pass defense. Brandon Jones, 4 solo, 2 assisted, 2 sacks, 2 tackles for loss. Jalen Phillips, 4 solo, 2 assisted. Landon Roberts, 3 solo, 2 assisted, 1 forced fumble, 1 interception for 85 yards and a touchdown, and a pass defense. Nick Needham, 3 solo, 2 assisted with a pass defense. Justin Coleman, 3 solo tackles. Xavier Howard, 2 solo, 1 assisted, and a pass defense. Byron Jones, 2 solo tackles, 1 pass defense. Let's see. You know what? I am a fool because I didn't update that. Whoops. I was actually supposed to take... Right? Hang on a second. Yeah, I was supposed to take... What is with me? I'm sitting here messing up. And Emmanuel Ogbah and Andrew Van Ginkel. These were actually from the previous game. So I am sorry because I did not take them out of the thing here. Silly me. I am very deeply sorry about that. Yeah, so just ignore these stat lines. I am trying to fix it as we speak. There we go. And that's where it ended, because those were stat lines from the previous game. But in total, the Dolphins had 46 tackles, 28 assisted. Solid numbers there, and you like to see a number like that, so you're getting hats to the football, right? You're coalescing around the football. They did have 3 sacks, 4 tackles for loss, 1 forced fumble, 1 interception for 85 yards, 1 touchdown, and 5 passes defensed. Denzel Perryman led the way for the Raiders with 10 solo tackles, 4 assisted. Corey Littleton had 7 solo, 3 assisted, and a pass defense. Trayvon Mullen, 5 solo, 1 assisted, and 2 passes defense. Casey Hayward, 4 solo, 1 tackle for loss, and 1 pass defense. Jonathan Abram, 3 solo, 4 assisted. Nate Hobbs, 3 solo tackles. Quentin Jefferson, 2 solo, 2 assisted, 1 sack, 1 tackle for loss. Solomon Thomas, 1 solo, 3 assisted, and a half sack with 1 forced fumble. And Carl Nassib, 1 solo, 3 assisted, half sack, which gave them a total of pretty similar to us: 45 solo, 30 assisted, 2 sacks, 2 tackles for loss, 1 forced fumble, and 3 passes defensed. And the kicking game, Jason Sanders was 2 of 3 on his field goals, obviously missed the one, and that was obviously one of the mistakes too, if I didn't mention that earlier. Long of 50 with 2 of 2 on his extra points. Daniel Carlson was 3 of 3 on his field goals with a long of 50, 2 of 3 on his extra points. Michael Pilardi had 4 punts for a 38.8 average. Not great, but he did land 3 inside the 3 out of 4 of those inside the 20, and obviously part of that had to do with field positioning and stuff too as well. But a long of 50. AJ Cole had 4 punts for a 54 average, 2 inside the 20, and a long of 67. Jakeem Grant had 1 kickoff return for 15 yards, as did Henry Ruggs. Jakeem Grant had 3 punt returns for a 9 average and a long of 12. Hunter Renfrow had 2 for a 4.5 average and a long of 7. All right, and so these league standings, just so you know, these are updated as of today. Well, it's technically Monday now, but as of Sunday, and all the games have been played through week 3 except for the Dallas Philadelphia game that is set to be played on Monday, or which technically is today. But that's the only game that does not factor into these league standings. So they will change. Some of these statistics will change just a little bit after that game does get factored in, likely. But for now, the Dolphins have 805 total yards for offense, which actually does raise them from 31st up to 28th. So, it's good to see that we are going in that direction, although we're still at the bottom of the league, and it was just a marginal increase. Yards per game, though, we have 237.5, or that's where we were. Last week, we went up to 268.3. That brings us from 31st to 29th. Total passing, we have 599 yards, which goes from 30th, another marginal increase from 30th to 29th. Passing yards per game, we have 192 last week. We went up to 199.7 after this week. There was no change in our league standing. As you can see, we stayed at 30th. Total rushing, we have 278 yards. We did have a nice little jump there from 27th to 22nd. Obviously still in the back half of the league, but we do like to see it. So rushing yards per game, 72.5 last week, up to 92.7 this week. 27th in the league to 23rd. Total points, we have 45 now on the season. That takes us from 32nd to 29th. Again, another marginal increase. And obviously, that's pretty much the theme here for our offensive standings. And again, some of these will change. Unfortunately, some of these will change not for the better. Once a couple of these, once that game tomorrow gets played. But it is what it is. Points per game, we went from 8.5 last week to 15 now this week, which brings us from 32nd to 30th. Defensively, however, we took some hits here. We did have some statistics where we went up and in the right direction. However, obviously you can see some of these statistics, we took some pretty substantial dips in. So yards per game defensively, we went from giving up 353.5 last week to 401.3 after this week, which drops us from 15th all the way down to 25th. So that's obviously not good. Passing yards per game, we went from 230 last week to 282 this week. Went from 8th down to 22nd, also not very good. Rushing yards per game, we went from 134, 136 average this week. Obviously a very marginal increase, and a marginal increase in our league standings, 28th to 27th. Points per game, we unfortunately went up here, as we did with most of these, 25.5 to 27.3. That drops us from 20th down to 23rd. Takeaways, we did increase our total takeaways from 4 to 5, but it actually incidentally drops us from 7th down to 8th. So we did take a marginal step backward in overall takeaways. Interceptions, we went from having 1 to 2. That takes us from 20th to 17th. So a little bit of an increase there. Not much, but a little bit. Fumbles, we didn't get any more fumbles this week. We had 3 last week. Still have 3 this week. So no change there. And unfortunately, that drops us from 1st in the league to 4th overall. Sacks, though, we gained 3 this week. We went from 2 last week to 5 total. That takes us from 30th to 26th. Of course, to be fair and to be clear, obviously some of these statistics still involve a little bit of jumbling up with some teams tied, but it is what it is. Passes defensed, we went from 12 to 17, so we're doing really good in our passes defense, so that's lovely, and we actually took a marginal step up from 4th to 3rd. So key points in analysis for this game. Did we win? No. Unfortunately, we did not. We lost in overtime. But it is what it is. And so real quick game breakdown. Let's just go through this. The Raiders did receive the ball to start the game. They did go 3 and out on the first drive. We did get a stop. That was nice to see. But then we punted after 6 plays on our first drive. Raiders then throw an interception after 7 plays to make it 7-0. Because that was the interception for a touchdown. And then let's see. Raiders turnover on downs after 4 plays on their 3rd drive. That was where we ended up setting ourselves up with good field position that allowed us to get a touchdown after 4 plays on our 2nd drive. Raiders then punt after 8 plays. Dolphins have their safety, that stupid play in the end zone, which made it 14-2. After that, Raiders then get a field goal to end the first quarter, making it 14-5. Dolphins punt in the 2nd quarter to start with after 9 plays. Raiders get a touchdown after 10, making it 14-12. Dolphins end the half after 10 plays, missing a field goal. We then move into the 3rd quarter. Dolphins receive the ball. They ended up punting after 4 plays on their 6th drive. Raiders get a touchdown after 9 plays, making it 14-19. Dolphins punt after 6 plays after that. And then the Raiders get a touchdown to end the 3rd quarter after 11 plays on their 8th drive, making it 14-25. 25 straight unanswered points. Then in the 4th quarter, the Dolphins kick a field goal after 11 plays, making it 17-25. And that was the play that was the situation I talked about, where instead of doing a 3rd and 4 play where you're trying to dial up, some longer developing play that takes, a shot to the end zone, maybe you just decide to pick up the fucking first down instead. But, whatever, I'm not the coach. After that, the Raiders then go 3 and out. The Dolphins then had a turnover on downs after 6 plays. The Raiders then go 3 and out after that. And then we end the 4th quarter with a Dolphins touchdown after 13 plays to make it 25-25, which obviously forced it into overtime. Once we got into overtime, the Raiders kicked a field goal to start. So obviously that gave us a chance because they didn't score a touchdown. But that made it 25-28. Raiders lead. We go down after 11 plays. We kick a field goal to tie the game. And then the Raiders, after that, go kick the winning field goal to make it 31-28. Unfortunately, the Dolphins lose. And there were a couple, minor injuries. Will Fuller seemed to have like a leg injury, I think. He did return, I believe. It didn't seem like much. He ended up walking off to the sideline. Didn't seem to be much of a problem. But he did get nicked up in his first game back, so that's lovely. Brandon Jones also had some sort of injury. It appeared to also be a leg injury. I don't think he came back, and, we'll just kind of have to wait and see how that turns out and see how he's doing. And he did seem to be in a bit of pain, though, and he did stay down for a minute. So hopefully it's nothing too severe, because obviously we can't really afford to have injuries knock out key players. So not that Brandon Jones is particularly a key player, but obviously he, was on the field a good amount and did have some, good plays for us. So anyway, that really about does it for my recap, my post-game analysis. Like I said, sorry that it is late that I'm making this video, but I was just kind of I was just kind of sitting here and I was chilling and doing me and whatever, and I was like, you know what, fuck it, I'm just going to make this video. I'm going to get it over with, because it was frustrating, it was disappointing, it was heartbreaking, and I just kind of wanted to get it over with. So there you have it. I hope you guys, enjoy my videos and enjoy my breakdowns. Even if it is a loss, I try and give you guys good content and give you very thorough analysis. So hope you guys enjoy that. I hope you guys appreciate my perspective. If you do, make sure you hit the subscribe button, make sure you hit the like button, make sure you hit the bell if you want to get the alerts. Share my channel and videos with your friends and family. Leave your questions, comments, and concerns down in the comments section. And of course, as always, follow me on Twitter at Dillon Tartaro. And with that, I am out. I'll see y'all soon. Fins up.